Hey y'all! So I had a request to do a tutorial for my dish rags. So I know I did a tutorial a while back on the moss stitch, which is what I use for this. And I may have made some comments about how I do my dish rags, but I didn't do, I think, a full tutorial for the dish rags. So that is what I'm going to do today. So we're going to use some cotton yarn. I'm using this sugar wheel cotton from Hobby Lobby, and I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook. So you can kind of use whatever size goes along with your yarn. So we're going to start with just our normal slip knot, and we are going to start off and we are going to chain 40. So we're going to go through, we're going to chain 40, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so I finished chaining 40. And so what we're going to do is we are going to single crochet in that second chain from the hook there. So do a single crochet, and then we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to skip that next chain, and we're going to go into the chain after that and do a single crochet. So here's your chain that you just single crocheted in, skip that next one, and then single crochet in that next one there. All right, and then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to skip the next chain and single crochet in the next one. Then we're going to chain 1, and we're going to keep just doing this. We skip one chain, go into the next one, and do our single crochet, and then chain 1, skip the next one, go into the next one there. And so basically we're just going to do every other that we're single crocheting in, and we're chaining 1 in between, and we're going to do this all the way down till we get to the end. Okay, so we're getting to the end of our row here, and we're going to single crochet in that last one. All right, and then we're going to turn and chain 1. All right, so at the beginning of our row, you can see that we have our single crochet, and then here's our chain 1 space. So we're going to single crochet in that first single crochet there. And then we are going to single crochet in that chain 1 space. All right, and then we're going to chain 1. And then you can see our next single crochet space, and we're just going to single crochet into that one. Chain 1. And so you can kind of see down the line, you can see the little the way that yarn goes for all the chain 1 spaces. And so you're basically just going to single crochet in all of those, and then you're going to chain 1 in between. So we're still keeping the same number of stitches each row, because you have single crochet, chain 1, and then you skip over, and so it keeps the same number of stitches technically all the way that we started with, but you're just having to single crochet every other. So we're single crochet, chain 1, and just make sure you single crochet into that chain 1 space all the way down to the end. Okay, so we're getting to the end of our row. So we have one more chain 1 space, and we're single crocheting into that one. And then we have one more single crochet at the end, and we're just going to single crochet into that. So we basically have 2 single crochets in a row. So we don't do a chain 1 in between there, just 2 single crochets in a row. Turn our work and chain 1. And then, so we have 2 single crochets at the beginning of this, and then before we get to our chain 1 space. So we're going to single crochet into that first one, and then chain 1, because that's going to skip over that next single crochet, and we're going to single crochet into our chain 1 space. So you'll kind of have every other where you're starting or ending with 2 single crochets, because you always want to end a row with single crochet. So if you need to do 2 in a row, just because if you have the space where you have the chain 1 spaces, you're always going to do that at the end. So you may have 2 single crochets in a row, so then you can just start off with single crocheting and then skip over to do your chain 1 space. And you're just going to keep going down the line until you get to the end, but you do your chain 1, always single crochet into that chain 1 space, and chain 1 in between, all the way down until we get to the end. And we're just going to keep repeating this every single row. So I'll show y'all the end and start of the next one. So we're going through here. All right, so this one, we have, oops, I got a little bit off, our chain 1 space here. And so we have 2 single crochets at the end here. So we're going to chain 1, skip over that first single crochet, and then single crochet in that last one there. Oops, my yarn's getting tangled. Okay, and so then you always end on that single crochet there. So turn, chain 1, and so then our beginning one here has a single crochet and a chain 1 space. So we start off with single crochet in that first one, and then we're going to go right into just single crocheting in that chain 1 space, and then we start our stitch where we do chain 1 and go into our chain 1 space. And just keep going down the line. And so basically you're just going to be single crocheting in all those chain 1 spaces. Make sure you chain 1 in between, and keep doing this until you get to a square. I always kind of measure by like folding it into a triangle, and that's how I can kind of see that I have a square there with that. And so that's basically how I do that. So you'll just keep going until this turns into a square, and then you have a fun dish rag. So have a good day.